Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 157 of the Dudes and Beer podcast. I was just sitting there the other night. My name is Chris Jordan, by the way. Stephen Bishop is here with me.
What's up,
Julie
guys?
Connolly. We are here at the Cave in Austin, Texas.
The man cave Dudes
I am,
and Beer.
as rarely this year, I am actually not appearing by a ghostly visage. I am here in person in Austin. I know, right? It's kind of weird having the dude that, has the studio in the studio. What's that even about?
Nonsense.
I know, that's random.
It's like
nonsense.
playing VR in VR or something.
And I know, dude. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's like having a picture of yourself taking a picture of yourself.
What is that
that's
like?
so meta.
What is
It's
that
meta.
like?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. I'm just now finding out that the kids don't say hip, so I'm apparently not hip anymore.
Well, we're old.
Yeah, it's all right. And speaking of old, speaking of things that are misunderstood, we have the news of the week, folks, which is full of fantastic Facebook news. Of course, TechCrunch came out and was telling us about Mark Zuckerberg's prepared statement for Congress today. This was the beginning of the congressional panel. He will go before the Senate and stuff like that coming up. But today he sat down for about 6 hours. I sat and watched and listened to it.
Yeah.
It was pretty, but he put out a pre-release of what he was going to say and what his thoughts were, and of course they were able to ask questions. Out of Wired magazine, Cambridge Analytica could also access private Facebook messages, according to data that has come out. In other Facebook news for that, Facebook was a big contributor to committees in Congress that will question Mark Zuckerberg, was the headline out of USA Today.
No problem there at all.
Facebook and Cambridge Analytica are now facing a class action lawsuit in the UK. Also,
they want him to come talk in front of Parliament. That's crazy.
Dang, leave the city and go to the Parliament.
England.
Yeah, right.
George Clinton.
Something tells me he could probably float that trip to England anytime he wants.
Yeah, true.
Out of Bloomberg, Facebook scans the photos and links you send on Messenger, and then we also had out of CNBC the other day, Facebook sent a doctor on a secret mission to ask hospitals to share patient data. And Gizmodo was letting us know that Facebook admits Mark Zuckerberg and top execs have deleted their sent messages remotely, which is not even an option for us regular users.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're apparently having to put a feature in now.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're going to be
I love it,
that's
dude.
apparently available.
Yeah.
And we'll get into all of that.
I want the pro version of Facebook.
But before we do, we have a very special message about this. NDAs, a lot of stuff going on in the news, of course, about the raid on Trump's lawyer. Stuff like that. Was that even constitutional? Should that even be allowed the way it was allowed to happen? And with that, we're going to go to a short phone interview that we did just a little while ago with JL Carpenter, attorney at law. She is our official legal correspondent for the Dudes and Beer podcast.
Woo!
So let's hear what JL has to say about not only Mark Zuckerberg, but... So, ladies and gentlemen, we have on the phone with us a fantastic lawyer out of Houston, Texas, J.L. Carpenter of the J.L. Carpenter Law Firm. Tell us what you think about what is going on right now with Facebook, as well as the whole NDA situation with Stormy Daniels and even what's going on with Charlie Rose and his NDA situation.
Okay, well, couple of different issues going on there, and it's been a busy day for the news media. But I watched a little bit of Mark Zuckerberg's testimony in front of the Senate today, and one thing I've noticed is that he never tried to hide behind a lawyer. From the very beginning, he has wanted to admit guilt, say, I'm sorry, what can we do to make it better? He's held himself and his company accountable. And so you had asked me what's the difference of being compelled and being sworn. In this situation, I think that it's different from what you typically see because Mark is voluntarily going in front of the lawmakers, trying to not only show that he's being accountable and accepting responsibility, but to see what he can do to work with lawmakers to make things better so that situations like this don't arise again and he doesn't lose the trust of the public as they use his software. So I think that's the difference there. And then on the other note, as a criminal defense attorney, it scares the living daylights out of me that the government could come into my office and just take my client's files, my computer, any other items that might be in my home or office, like they did in this raid. And then the government just turns it over to another FBI agent and says, here, do the forensics on this, run this, and now analyze this. There's no safeguard there. There's no firewall there. There's no, they're running rampant with what they want to do, and there's no checks and balances in that. So that when I have a client come into my office, I say to them, this is a safe space. This is attorney-client privilege communication. You can tell me anything here. It's my job to help defend you or mitigate or to make sure that your constitutional rights are protected and not trampled upon. And then for the government to just come in and take all that.
Yeah, absolutely destroy that. A constitutionally guaranteed institution. Like one of the few things that you are constitutionally guaranteed as a person is the right to counsel, and that indelible privacy between a lawyer and of course there is the permission for the fact of if you're an active commission of a crime, if you're helping cover up a crime, things like that, then the attorney-client privilege does not stand. But
that's true. But on another note, though, for instance, when I have cases that involve Child Protective Services records, and that's highly protected information because you're dealing with children. Yep. I will subpoena those and ask for a court to order that CPS turns those records over to us. So with that court order, CPS gets served. And what typically happens is that CPS will then turn those over to the judge who will do an inspection of those records, and that neutral person will determine what's acceptable for me to have and what's not, what's relevant for me to have and what's not, that neutral magistrate.
Yeah.
In this situation with Trump's lawyer, there's no neutrality in the person who's determining what is subject to the exception and what is not.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's a really odd situation, and it's one that is hugely out of balance, I think. Just really strange that it happened this way and that it kind of went down like that for something so major,
Well, because it's part of, and like Trump says, it's part of a witch hunt, because this has absolutely nothing to do with Russian collusion, which they determined there was no Russian collusion. Yeah. So now we're just traveling down this path. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or liberal or conservative. This is scary for every United States citizen, period. Yeah. This is scary behavior from the government. This is way intrusive. It's stepping over constitutional boundaries, and it should scare everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And JL, thank you so much for taking the time to call in and weigh on these two heavy topics in our society right now, not just the facts of digital privacy, how to take care of your digital privacy, but also your constitutional rights, things like that.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. We'd love to have you on regularly to talk about this kind of stuff, JL. Tell everybody where they can go to find out more about your law practice and about protecting themselves.
www.jlcarpenterlaw.com.
All right, thank you so much, and you have a great evening. Drive carefully out there. I know you're on your way home, and good luck to the kids. I know they're busy applying for colleges and all that kind of stuff. It's so exciting for you.
It is. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. And that was our first interview with J.L. Carpenter, attorney at law. Once again, you can find her online. I think she brought up some great points regarding Mark Zuckerberg and the things that went on today. And the fact that it was great, the fact that, like Steve-O was saying, why did he not have legal counsel there? Why did he not have other people there that could answer questions for him from other departments?
Yeah.
Like I said, number one, it's not a trial right now. It's not even a hearing. It's just a panel. It's just a panel. So it really behooves him to come right out.
Yeah,
and be the one out
DnB.
front and just get, as they put it in the optics of politics, just get out in front of the situation. You know, the earlier you are out in front of the situation, the better off you are.
Yeah, if it looks like he's trying not to hide
exactly. And it's just like with your case, Steve, just like with mine, just like JL was saying, the one thing that is sacred is that attorney-client privilege. The first thing she says to her clients is, you are in a safe place. You're somewhere that you can tell, and you should tell me anything and everything.
Right.
I need to know anything and everything in order to be able to defend you.
To defend you,
You come up with some information later. We could have gone down a rabbit hole that there ain't no, like, you can't dig sideways. Yeah, you can't start digging in an angle once you get down so far to be able to get out of a hole, you know. I always tell people, whenever you're digging a hole, make sure to dig one side at a slight angle.
Yeah,
so you can always get out of that hole, you know. And that's what telling your lawyer everything is about, is making sure that the person that you are paying to legally represent you knows everything about you, knows everything intimately. And the fact that he was not hiding behind the fifth, he was not taking the fifth on anything, he was not answering any questions. He answered a lot of the questions, of course, in the same way.
Sure.
But like I said earlier before the show, it's also one of those, like, their job right now is to try to catch him double talking.
Yeah, they're
number
just
one. Yeah,
get information, get a baseline.
It's a fishing expedition, and he'll have to go before the Senate and do the same thing.
Yeah, fishy.
You know, and
it still can't be fun for him.
No, it's absolutely not fun. Absolutely not fun. And to be put out in the public like that. No, when technically what happened with Cambridge Analytica, until they sold information to another person, nothing was in violation of the user practices.
At that time. They seem to have updated it since then, but at that time there was nothing.
Nothing inviolate. And like he even said, like, we fully cooperated with the Trump campaign, the same that we would with any advertiser.
Right. Yeah.
Like we didn't throttle back their stuff, anything like that. If they paid for ads, we put the ads up.
Right.
But I mean, I know
they target who the ads go to, though, because I never got a Trump ad. I would have been like,
oh, sure, no. Well, and the thing is, like, I have an ad account. Dudes and Beer has an ad account, and it was interesting for our 150th episode. We could not make an ad.
Huh. Oh,
we could not
make
because it was tobacco. But for our 100th episode, for a fantastic sponsor, Hops and Grain, we could boost that all day long.
Yeah.
We could boost an alcohol post all day long, but you can't post a tobacco post.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can't boost a tobacco post.
Blog is all alcohol, and they've never it gets boosted all the time.
Yeah. Well, and especially paid boost, especially paid ads, where, you know, we have, I have demographics. If you go into our admin panel and click the Dudes and Beer Live Austin,
basically like targeting advertising,
age ranges, people who drink, people who are into cars, people who are into
this is all the data they've
things.
already, like, you know.
Yeah, they mine it from your posts and from the quizzes that you take.
He discussed that, you know, today and all.
Well, and it's stuff that you've already shared. Whenever you signed up, you had the option to say my interest or no.
Right.
Yep. I
You had
kept
the
it because
option to close that.
Yeah.
For me, I have no issue with it. I'm not putting anything like super secure, and
Right.
the targeted advertisement,
smart thing.
it's on point. I get really cute clothes.
It's true. It's true. Your onesie is pretty sweet.
Adorable.
Doesn't beat out my Spider-Man onesie, but
We should have a onesie party.
okay. I'm down with the Dudes and Beer pajama party.
Mine's technically day wear or pajamas,
Yeah.
like what I'm wearing right now.
No, that's a total beachwear outfit.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Just like wear
That's
it to
what
the
I got it
beach,
for.
throw
Is
it
a cruise.
on,
Yeah, my birthday.
stuff like that. And,
Hell yeah.
For me, and somebody posted earlier, I was like, of course, some of us know what we shared. Not everybody, and this is what they kept saying, not everybody is going to read that EULA, that end user licensing agreement.
Right. It's so huge.
It's enormous.
Yeah.
And what's funny though is that like page by page, it's not enormous.
And it's an interesting read, actually.
Yeah. Well, and whenever we were censored, I went through and did a lot of
To
research
figure out why.
Yeah.
on stuff.
It's like the Tale of Two
And
Cities.
It was, it was the Adam Raposa. It was interesting because that was actually the last time we had a lawyer on. Or no, I guess we had Arshawn McCleskey on. He's a lawyer as well.
Yeah.
But whenever we had Adam Raposa on and tried to post that, that episode was absolutely banned by Facebook.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We were totally blocked out, and I mean, I shared it with 5 groups, and 3 of them are my groups.
Mhm.
Like they're groups I started, and the other 2 are owned by like my buddy John Seymour. I know he's not going to flag me as spam, yo.
Yeah.
So I went through and screenshotted all their stuff. I sent it to him, and it took like a week to unlock my account.
Yeah, I remember
to
that.
even be able to post. Like we didn't even have dudes and I asked you guys to post.
It was
as
coming
much
up
as you
funky.
could.
There's,
Yeah.
I can see somebody trying to post, but it was like, it's not showing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no content.
Yeah, no content.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's absolutely a function that they can do. I know Amy at one point knew somebody that worked at Facebook as a traffic watcher, and they were all given a certain number of fun and kind of creepy. Fun and creepy. You're basically watching live feeds and feeds from people like Dudes and Beer that post and post and post and post and post. Like there's smooth
Looking
a
for
good
words,
15
looking for-
posts, 20 posts a day of articles coming from Dudes and Beer.
Some days
Stuff like that.
it's hard to keep up.
It is. But that's the information swath that we're given.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I'm always trying to point out. And
Yeah.
if
Oh,
you'd
it's
like
hard to-
proof, come join the Dudes and Beer group. You will see all of these. And part of the reason I even started the news of the week was to, outside of Facebook, have a chronicle of the crazy articles that we post.
Yeah.
Because, like, man, had I been doing this for the last 3 years, dude, like, just being able to search through Dudes and Beer and find stuff would just be wild.
Yeah.
Because it's there now. And things that we talked about 3 years ago are actively happening.
Yeah.
We talked 3 years ago about what will happen the day that Facebook becomes like YouTube, and if you want ad-free, you're going to have to pay for it.
Yep. We spoke about that.
And it's since become that YouTube Red is launched. They have their own content now.
Yeah, Liam has it.
They
he
have
likes it.
They have their own original content. They have streaming of football games. They've made all
Oh, I
kinds.
shouldn't say that because of Breach.
Oh, it's all right. We belong to Breach. Breach is a great sponsor. We love them very much. We love their content. YouTube is still there, and they're still a large search engine. They're, I think, the second largest next to Google, probably because they're owned by Google. Yeah,
Are they
owned
really?
by Google.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh, that's crazy.
Google and YouTube are unified sign-in.
Well, so we were talking about
totally.
the monopolies before
Yeah.
with Facebook. It seems
Yeah.
like Google's definitely right up there too then.
It isn't though, because it's a search engine.
So it's got the monopoly on search engines.
No, absolutely not. There is
Well,
Yahoo. There's
Nobody
Bing.
goes to Yahoo. or
That's
Bing.
not true.
Although my work used to default
Don't-
to Bing,
no.
and they were like,
If that was
stupid.
true, my mother's Yahoo account wouldn't have been hacked.
They shut down my
Right.
Yahoo account because it was hacked so many times and I hadn't checked it in like 11 years.
Like, you know.
So they sent me an email and they're
There's
like,
dog pile.
we deleted your whole account. And I was like,
Like,
cool,
I'm not going to
don't
lie.
care.
I have a straight up dump email where it's something that, you know, where I have to give them an email, like
Right.
they insist on
Yeah,
it.
mine was my Yahoo account.
I give them
They
that.
finally shut it down, so
And when I
wasn't
showed my
anymore.
brother, but you can look at it, like this was all up around Christmas time that it came out, the Yahoo hack that happened in 2015. It was pretty much every single Yahoo
Oh, it had
user.
to have been everybody.
It was like a third of the population of the planet.
Yeah.
But
Which means
I
everybody.
wonder, I think that's a lot of people's dump emails, though.
Well, at this point, sure, but it's still connected to other stuff via
Yeah.
metadata. It's
Yeah,
still
it's true.
connected to ISP, and once you've hacked that, like,
Yeah,
it's
get
free
into
access to
everything.
everything.
It's like
Damn.
how, like, my blog keeps randomly showing up on Google Plus. Everything's connected. You don't
Google
have to look very far.
Well, and that's just it. Like, I constantly talk about the demonstration that I saw numerous years ago at a Black Hat convention here in town, where a dude, via a Bluetooth nightlight on stage, hacked into a home computer that was set up on stage.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because
That
they're
is.
both set up on the same Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right.
So as soon as he was
Yeah.
past the uber soft
The more shit you have, like
Bluetooth
a
security,
refrigerator,
So
your washer and dryer, all
that's
this
it.
within
Bad
a decade.
about
every one of them is a point of entry.
Yeah, a point of
It's
entry.
all a point of entry to a
Finally,
system.
when
Anything
we got
hooked up.
fiber, we got a password. Finally, because Brian was always like, "No, we don't need to lock our
Oh,
Wi-Fi."
yeah, you
I'm like,
do.
"Yes, you do."
Yeah,
So finally,
you
with
do.
That's the
fiber, I was
easiest
there
one.
when the guys set it up, and I was like, "I would like this to be secure, please." And so I've got a stupid password that people won't figure out. Like,
Nice.
"There you go.
Nice.
It's not a challenge.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a challenge.
Please don't try to figure it out.
It's Disney one.
Yeah.
I heart the mouse.
Yeah. Don't F with the mouse.
Capital D with the Z, no S.
There it is. Yeah,
Or
you
your
got it.
ass. You go missing. Go missing in the mouse.
And I mean, I know people that are tech heads that literally sit at shows with Wi-Fi stuff, and,
Oh,
and
yeah, the
they
same
hack
guys that-
networks.
Yeah.
Like, I sit there and watch them, like, find people's networks and just get into them and use them. And it's like, what the, dude, like, that was somebody's Wi-Fi hotspot that you just totally jacked into.
Jacked into.
I mean,
nice.
if it's not password protected, I'll do that.
Oh, no.
If it
It
is, then
is.
yeah, that takes a
It
little
is.
special skill.
That's the thing. Like, and they're in within like a minute. Like, once they find it,
Dude.
they run a couple programs on that on
I was gonna
that
say.
IP
That's
address,
crazy.
and it cracks it open, and it's like, yo, like, you are surfing that dude's internet right now. Like, you could have access to all kinds of stuff.
Leave that really bad little crumb trail for him.
I was,
Yeah.
wondering, I was wondering why my bandwidth got so low all of a sudden.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we have to be concerned about. Of course, the Cambridge Analytica breach that happened, and I guess it wasn't necessarily a breach so much as a leak, because
Yeah.
nobody hacked Cambridge Analytica
Right.
to get the information.
Right,
They
right.
sold it to another
This
party.
is freely being
They considered
distributed
it their information.
with payment.
Right.
It was gathered via an app that they built in the dev center.
Yeah, it was a leak.
For
That's-
yeah, I think that'd be the right way to put it. But like JL said, the great thing was that Mark got out in front of it. He isn't hiding behind a lawyer. He's
Right.
willing to answer any questions.
Right.
Yeah.
He answered yes and no questions today numerous times.
Right.
The same yes and no question. Like I said, I think they're trying to set up for a whiz bang wow moment
Right.
later, possibly, but
He's doing a good job. He's
Yeah.
not an idiot. You don't
Right.
you don't
No.
become Mark
You don't-
Zuckerberg by being an idiot.
you don't, and of course there were numerous people I saw commenting all over social media today.
What's that?
How are you going to trust the guy who literally stole his business from his roommate?
Oh, dang,
and I
dude.
was like,
What the hell, man?
whoa,
that's a low blow, dude.
that's true but cold.
Yeah.
He hustled him out of it.
Yeah.
He hustled him out of it. It's happened numerous times in the digital age.
Yeah.
Totally.
I got hustled out of baseball cards.
Well, and I forget who it was. I think it was.
Stickers.
I think it was Coons
Yeah.
who was talking about The fact that he was there during the first Facebook hearings that happened a while back, and that he was there during the Microsoft hearings, because, of course, there was the whole question a while back with Fair Trade Commission as to whether or not
Monopoly.
Microsoft was a monopoly.
Yep. Hell yeah.
And well, they aren't. Because there are other OS systems out there.
Yeah.
There's iOS, there's Linux, and it's kind of like we were saying about Google. Google can't be a monopoly because there's a good 3 or 4 standard big name search engines out there.
Like Facebook can't be a monopoly because there's Line and there tries to be other things. They just don't make it, but I don't think it's.
But it's not
Facebook's fault that they
exactly.
don't
It's
make
not
it.
exactly what Facebook is, though.
Yeah,
Is it?
I mean, Google Plus tried to be exactly what Facebook was. It just didn't make it, but I don't think that was Facebook's fault. I think it was just a shittier product.
Well, yeah, I think it was a stab at the dark, really,
More of a
to do
marketing
something.
thing.
It was much more of
Yes, like a businessy thing.
yeah. It was much more to start up pages for businesses, pages for stuff where you could share them. You could like them. You could keep up to date with what that page put out.
But then there's Twitter.
That kind of
Like,
stuff.
you don't need that. It was just
Wasn't
redundant.
a social push for a social
It was
thing. Yeah.
totally redundant. You can get that same thing from Instagram, from Facebook, from like just in different ways. You know?
Yeah, and we're definitely in the age of the social media button. And like, good God, Periscope popped up and went down. Pun intended.
Periscope.
Beep, beep.
Vine, like you were saying earlier, there have been numerous platforms. Good God, the venerable MySpace tried to have a comeback.
I know. It was like, we'll just
Tried.
be fans. We promise. No, you're nothing.
Poor Timberlake.
Well,
No,
but see,
spent a
even
lot of money.
Yeah, he
Even-
bought that damn thing.
even
A lot of money.
even they had an issue though toward the end, where number one, they were letting people mod stuff. So that caused a big lag on server. That caused a big security issue.
Yeah.
Because it was very easy to put in malware to
It
plug
was
in
fun
and
to
stuff
be able to
like that.
customize everything.
Yeah, I remember that at the end, customizing.
It was cool,
shit.
but
I can see
it was
like,
logy, and I remember at the time I booked bands, and my general rule of thumb is if it took more than 30 seconds for your page to load, I did not book
too
you.
much.
Yeah,
I
true
did
that.
not book you.
Yeah.
It was just that simple.
I just had a lot of those digital pets because I was very young when MySpace was around. I think I was like 20 to 26 or something.
Well, and it came out just toward the slump of MySpace and the takeoff of Facebook.
Yeah.
That I think it was like there were like 60,000 registered sex offenders using
Jeez.
MySpace, and that was registered sex offenders, quite obviously using their own name.
I mean, that's
So
pretty ballsy.
these were people. Well, I mean,
But it
hey,
was a
you
different
can't
time, too.
not be on social media just because you're a sex
I
offender.
feel like you can. I mean,
I feel like you can.
I wouldn't be.
Well,
But then I probably wouldn't be a sex offender either. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
that.
I was gonna say,
but I
yeah,
mean,
right.
even
Nobody wants to have
people
that
who are a
title.
registered sex offender who granted have served their time, gotten their treatment, things like that.
No,
There's
there's no
nothing saying that you can't like
sex
go be a
offender.
part of Facebook, that you
Right.
can't go have a MySpace
You
page.
can't be part of
But
society.
the fact is, these were people that were friends with underage people, stuff like
Right,
that,
of course.
and.
Because that doesn't stop when you get
And
out
not
of
only
jail,
that, but
usually.
there are 60,000 of them using their actual names. So imagine how many people are charading.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And that was one of the big questions today was, of course, since it came out, that there were quite a few. I mean, it even came out that the biggest Black Lives Matter page
Yeah.
on
Oh, it was
Facebook was
fake.
utterly fake.
Yep.
Right.
Was utterly fake. Was somebody from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, Australia.
Or Australia.
Australia.
Yeah. I'm confusing it with the other Russian actors that they found on Facebook here recently.
Well, that's not surprising either.
No, absolutely not. And that's just it. You know, how many people out there are using a pseudonym,
That's what
stuff
we
like
get
that.
with the
and they're-
internet, man.
Well,
a lot of fakes, you know.
But he came out and straight up said that they are actively making it to where if it does not, even if, especially if you're an ad purchaser like
Yeah.
Dudes and Beer or something like that,
Right.
that next time I would try to post an ad, it would actively send me a mailer first to assure the fact that,
you
like,
are
the
where
confirmation.
you are.
I am where I am.
Right.
I physically exist at this address,
Which
like
is like
I
a
said
lot of
I
extra
have.
work, but they gotta fix it. I mean,
Yeah. So they're doing some good due
Yeah.
diligence on that part. Where do you weigh in, Julie, as a parent with social media and use of social media, especially as someone who is a teacher?
I mean, it's there. I don't worry too much about it for Liam, but he tells me what he sees on Snapchat from his friends. Kids going out like in the middle of the night trying to score drugs or trying to score hookups or whatever. And these
Yeah.
are kids. These are like 14 to 16-year-old
How
kids.
naive and dumb.
Yeah.
And their parents obviously have no idea. And I've called a couple parents before, and I know that does not make me cool, but I'm like, hey, really need to check your kids' snaps or Instas. Like, this is, they're gonna die, and you're not gonna have any idea why.
Or end up in jail.
Right,
Yeah.
something terrible is gonna happen to these children, but it's still there. It's part of life. It is what it is. Just kind of be as aware as you can be. I don't demand passwords. I know a lot of parents do. I don't.
Give me your
trust
password.
Liam. I don't have any
We get to a
reason not
situation
to.
where I can't trust you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
and
need
it's
your
a
password.
whole different thing.
Right.
But so far, besides not doing homework, he has given me no reason to ever think he's anything but
But
on the up and up. I mean,
I'd also.
and he's actually honest about not doing his homework. So
Yeah.
I can
you
trust
know-
that he
no.
doesn't do his homework. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not. I
Let's see how
lied.
that works out. Cool.
Yeah. Are you failing everything? Sure. All right. Well, good job.
Sucks for you, bro.
Yep.
You need to work on that
Yeah.
a lot.
He is.
He
Actually,
is. He's
doing
working
a lot
on it
better.
great. He's working
He's
on it
such a
very
good
well.
kid, though.
Good
like,
for you, Liam.
So don't worry about him with social media. But as like a
Yeah.
big picture that's not just in my little bubble, yeah, it's worrisome if you have somebody in your life that you're not 100% sure about what they're up to. You need to
Well-
ask for passwords.
Well, and I mean,
I think 13 is too young, too. I think
Oh,
15
God,
would
yeah.
be a lot better.
Well, like we were saying before the show, the fact
Yeah,
that they were even
I agree.
considering, the fact that they are even considering
6.
Facebook Kids
No.
as young as 6.
Yeah, no, not
Being
for
able to
social
have a-
media.
and that's
because
just
then
it.
their entire life is gonna be online. It's gonna be what people think of them. It's gonna be their inner
Well, and I
dialogue
think-
is gonna be trying to impress other people or trying to present themselves to
Yeah,
other people
well-
in a very specific way that you can't do that unless your brain is a little
It
bit
is,
more developed.
and I mean,
It's
you
like,
know, I was
that's
really
stressful.
I was really kind of examining it on my way over here today, kind of just thinking about the pure narcissism.
Right. We don't want
of-
6-year-olds having to deal with that already.
Yeah. Much less a 13-year-old when they're trying to discover themselves, when they're trying to actually find their footing, their first real footing in society. Like
Right.
that's 12, 13. Like there's a reason why mitzvahs happened at that point.
Mhm.
There's a reason why coming of age ceremonies happen.
Right.
Like that's when you graduate from the kids'
Dude.
table
Right.
at
You're
Thanksgiving.
like an adolescent.
That's crazy.
You know,
man.
I think
Getting
15
acclimated
is
to the
good
machine.
because they get their permits. They have to see in a big way how
I'm
the
a fan
world
of
is bigger
18.
than theirs.
I'm a fan of 18. How can it not be 18? You legally cannot sign a document until you're 18.
That's true. They are agreeing to terms and conditions.
Oh, there you go.
But
Like,
they are not
what's
old
the-
enough.
How
to
is that
agree to
even
the terms and
possible?
Yeah, so
conditions.
how is that possible?
That's true.
How's this work?
Like
That
you're
is
signing a
true.
legal document.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, they're just
Not even
agreeing
kind
to
of.
it, but
That click is a legal document.
yeah, so you're right. In that case, they shouldn't because they're not allowed to. However, Liam can now sign for his own passport at 16.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
You
I'll change
can.
15 to 16 because
He can
obviously
sign
there
for his
are
own
some-
passport because it's got to be his signature. They've got to be able to match the fact that it's
Right.
him.
Right, but until he was 16, he couldn't sign
No.
for his own passport.
No.
So, like, if you
Absolutely
can sign for your own identity at 16, I guess you can go online.
That's because internationally, though,
Right, 16 is considered an
16
adult in a lot
is
of
the age
places.
of consent. 16
Well, and
is
Facebook is not just American.
no, it is not.
So
No, it is not.
I changed from 15 to 16.
And I changed from 18 to 16.
Yay, 16
At
it
that point.
is.
Yeah,
Come
So
on,
16.
Zuckerberg.
But I would still even say at that point
Yeah.
that a 16-year-old
Very
It should be
does
monitored.
not
Know
no.
your kids.
does not realize, like Steve-O was
Yeah,
saying earlier, does not realize the long-term
effect.
the
man.
long-term impact
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting
of what they post.
experiment. But I mean, it's not even an experiment. We're gonna see in 30 years.
Oh, it's
where
gonna
this
happen.
brought us.
Oh,
I
God.
mean,
Yeah.
there are people who started because Liam got his Facebook when he was 13.
Oh, hell.
He didn't use it. He
Right.
still doesn't use it really for
No,
anything.
not really. Every once in a while, he comments on some dudes and beer stuff.
Yeah,
And he's got some
every
deep
now- yeah, I saw that.
concepts,
I
He
man.
saw
does, or he'll link up to his school newspaper.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really use it for social media aspects.
Good for him.
So,
Right.
but yeah, it'd be interesting, like when he's 50, if he goes back and he sees like the articles that he wrote on
Right.
his paper, or whatever. Like that's
Sure.
neat. Like
Yeah.
that's something that we all don't have. Something
No.
that's just the click
No.
of the button to relive your childhood. And sometimes it's terrible, but he had a
Right.
good childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
I like to think that the great majority of people had a decent childhood.
Right? So
Like,
I
maybe
wouldn't
I'm
want to
just-
go back.
maybe it's
and
just the
relive mine.
maybe it's just the
Like a digital
the
diary.
optimist. Oh, good God! I would never want to go back and relive my childhood, but I'm gonna get to relive a lot of my childhood through my little
Oh,
ginger-headed
he's
baby.
so
That
cute.
gingerhead baby.
I took so
Because
many
he's,
pictures of him at your
gonna
house the
get
other
to
day.
deal with a lot of the repression that gingers get to deal with, and a lot of the
Well,
teasing.
he has no soul,
and,
so.
and that's it's not true. We don't know how many he has yet. His melanin has not settled in, so we don't know how many. Like I have one freckle
Having
for
a
each
lot of
soul I've
souls.
stolen.
Having a demon in you counts as a soul.
Yeah. He has no
An
means.
occupying entity is not a soul.
Yeah, I'm just checking.
That's a so
Let's-
freckles are souls? I have a
We
lot
can,
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
freckles are a
one
soul.
for each soul you captured.
Awesome.
Well, you got
That's
you got the last name of Sheehy
Yeah.
for your maiden name. You got a good Irish
Got a
name.
whole galaxy of probably
Good.
different
Yeah.
races and stuff of souls there.
I have a lot of different races anyway in my blood. I got my DNA back. I'm 5%
Oh, yeah.
Middle Eastern. That was exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot, 30% Eastern European because I'm a
Sure.
third Jew, and then the rest of it's all Irish. There's like
Okay.
1% Italian.
Eastern
Who
European,
knows?
like Romanian.
Estonia.
Oh, sweet.
I
dude.
know.
Ah,
I was
nice.
excited
Sweet,
about that.
that's
I've been
deep.
there, and I was like,
That's-
"Fuck yeah,
that's
this
hardcore
is like
gypsy
old-
country, bro.
Yeah, yep.
Nice.
Wow.
Very
Nice. A
exciting.
gypsy in our midst.
Mhm.
Road of the Gypsy.
Gypsy
Road of the
No, Steve.
Uh,
not Road of the Gypsy.
Oh, I was thinking Iron Eagle.
That's it. How'd you know that Doug just came right into my head? Ryan assessment.
Yeah, exactly.
Brian got his back, and it was like 100% Irish or Scottish, Irish Scottish.
Irish, Scottish.
Yeah, and I was like,
Scotch
wow, you're
Irish.
diverse.
Yeah.
He was like really hoping that there would be something else in there. No.
Yeah. I would be interested to see my DNA, but I'm just not going to sell that private data.
Nah.
I don't care.
I'm
We've
not-
already established. I'm not secretive about my stuff.
It was already rough enough whenever Amy went through the genetic tests and stuff.
Oh yeah,
with
with the pregnancy
Dalbus,
being a
because I mean, of course,
geriatric
just
pregnancy.
yeah, that's it. Geriatric pregnancy is what they call it. Anything past 35 is considered a geriatric
Geriatric.
pregnancy.
Are you serious?
And
I got a name for this?
At that point, literally,
What the hell
like,
does that
just so
mean?
you know, ladies, it's not horribly risky nowadays, but they throw crazy science at you.
Yeah, it
like,
means that they think you're too old, so
Yeah.
they like test a baby.
They
for
really watch
everything.
you.
Yeah, they
test,
really
like,
watch you.
your backgrounds
Yeah.
to make sure that you're gonna like mesh and make
yeah,
a viable baby.
they did like chromosomal tests on our baby,
Yeah,
it's
and all
crazy.
kinds of stuff.
Right.
Like we would have known within like the first month and a half as to whether or not our baby had like possible Down syndrome,
Right.
anything like that.
Safety
it's-
precautions are always good. You can never have too many.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and then so they just do it. Like even
I was kind of a side note in that conversation.
A side note. Well, how do you mean?
Well, number one,
was it because
as
you weren't physically carrying the baby?
as the father,
You were
you're-
expendable.
You're a fucking shadow on the wall in every one of those doctor meetings, bro.
No,
Well, that's fair.
I
You're
feel
carrying
that.
the baby.
I feel that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
When I was in that,
But it was one of those like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
we're talking about like, some pretty hardcore genetic tests with,
Oh, I know,
Oh yeah.
with my fetus here.
Yeah.
Or
You're just
my
the-
wife, technically my wife's fetus, she's the one carrying it.
Yeah.
Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah.
But technically 1/10 my fetus.
But you want to be prepared in case
Yeah.
there's
But,
something
you
that
know,
would have come up.
Well, yeah, and it's also like, what about my opinion?
Yeah, exactly.
But
No.
Amy Fortune, no, exactly. I don't have one in that
The
situation.
way they
None.
see it,
Literally.
is you did your job already. You're just a chump over there in the chair. Shut up.
No, it's that it's like she's got to
Yeah.
carry it, and
Yeah.
you know, in this
She's the
country,
one-
she's kind of stuck with it too. Like
Yeah.
she got a Chris who's going to stick around, but
Yeah.
there's really no guarantees. We're like
No.
baby vending machines here, so the very least we
Yep.
should get to figure out if we want to test her
Right,
for Down syndrome or whatever else is going to be coming up. Not that
Yeah.
would have changed Amy's mind at all.
No, and we had
But
that
then you're just more
discussion.
prepared
Yeah.
to know what's coming.
I
down
felt
the
like a
road.
third wheel in that same situation before that I was in, going to the doctor and stuff, checking on the fetus and all. And I'm like, I felt like the third wheel. I'm like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
over here, guys.
Because it's not about you.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
about us.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, guys.
That's right.
You guys have 22% more income than we do, so relax on that.
It's like, what's going on?
Today is a
That's true.
whatever International Fair Wage Day or whatever.
Thought it was International Siblings Day.
It is also that. Maybe yesterday was
It's a
the
lot
Fair
of
Wage
international
Day.
Oh, is there
something.
Is there a siblings day
Oh yeah,
today?
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, shout
No.
out to Aaron and Nikki
Yeah,
and
and
Matt and
my
Nick.
yeah, my brother Randy.
A lot of
And
icks
my
in
sister-in-law.
that.
With all different parents.
Nice.
Well, and that's just the thing. That's something that Mark kept bringing up today, Mr. Zuckerberg, in front of Congress, was that
What is that?
we're trying to build things to connect people. We're
Mhm.
trying to build things to connect society, and we need to. I guess what he was trying to get across was the fact that a lot of these things we've had to reflexively respond to. We can't necessarily predict these outcomes.
Right.
We just have to kind of deal with them when they pop up.
Right.
And that was the one thing that they kept on bringing up was that
I mean, it's true. This was a
Absolutely.
kind of whole new territory. So
Right. Just so like the conversation we had with R. McCleskey is that like technology is progressing further than the laws have already been written kind of
Right.
deal. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In that kind of sense, I believe,
Oh, no,
it totally
absolutely.
applies. It totally applies.
yeah, basically people don't know that they need to
Yeah.
regulate something until something happens where
Right.
they're like, fuck, we should have regulated this.
Yeah,
Well,
what do we do
well,
about
and
this?
the real question is, and that's what they kept asking today. Is this something that we need to meet and write legislation on?
Yep.
And
I don't know. I mean, he can probably just
Yeah.
change the terms of agreement. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be a law.
No,
it is a
right.
private corporation.
And that's just it.
Like,
you heard quite a few senator or congressmen and congresswomen pushing the hard line of legislation, and it's one of those like to me that's
I don't think
That's
they
a
should
scary
legislate
go ahead.
the Facebook aspect of it, but I could see on the political side to legislate that people involved in the political arena are not allowed to harvest data for pay from social media.
People such as Cambridge.
But I don't think that, people such as Cambridge or such as like people running for elected office or people who are like part of super PACs,
Yeah.
maybe, like they can have their own laws, which I think they already do.
They do. They have laws governing how
yeah,
that money comes in, how it's spent,
how they
it's
get their
reported.
information,
Right,
how they,
sure.
everything. But I don't think that necessarily like Facebook needs to be regulated. They
Right.
know
No,
right.
that this is an issue.
Right.
If they didn't do anything about it
Right.
to make it more secure in the future,
Right.
sure, maybe step
Well,
in.
Right.
But it's a private corporation at this point.
Right.
Like,
Well, and one of the things that they were
well, it's publicly traded, but still.
one of the things that they were actively talking about was, of course, censorship and stopping of free speech, things like that, targeting of certain pages, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this
that
doesn't really
undermines the
fall
whole
into
point of
censorship.
Facebook. Yeah.
This doesn't. But they were talking about at what point does your flagging of stuff, at what point does what you're doing fall under the reins of censorship, fall under the reins of that?
Just if it's in their terms and conditions, though, because like there's a lot of stuff that I read that I'm like, this is horrifying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't violate their
Right.
terms.
Oh,
and
they just
agreements.
recently made
Like,
it to where ads including race couldn't be done.
yeah,
or excluding race.
those stupid ads that like
And
when
some of
you're
those-
in, like I think it's happened on Dudes and Beer before, but people put up like the movie links.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that should be spam and should be reportable. But
Yeah.
like comments there's a lot of stuff that I have wanted to report it, but then you read the terms and conditions, and unfortunately, it's not in breach of them. So if it's not in breach of them, then there's really just
I think if
block
it
the
involves
person and
somebody's
move
safety
on.
or health or copyright
Right.
issues or something or other in those type of
somebody
categories,
threatening to like shoot up
threatening and stuff like
anything,
that,
like, yeah.
that definitely should be reportable.
Right.
But other than that, other than somebody's opinions that are different from yours or something that maybe
Sometimes
you don't
they're
agree with,
wrong.
I mean, come on. I mean,
But-
it's like everybody's playground, so we're just out in the same place, you know, hanging out in a way digitally, that all these things you're going to come across, and you're just going to have to accept it. Like, some things are going to be different, some things you might not like, but if it comes to that point where it's going to harm somebody, threaten somebody, hurt somebody, or you're violating law of copyright or some or other, then okay, then those should be reported, I think.
Right.
You know?
No, I think so too. Like I was a friend of my husband's, he's awesome, but he made some post about gun control, and somebody who was not awesome jumped on there, and his reaction was like, I'll show you whatever. He like basically just threatened to shoot everybody that was on the post that lived near him. So people
Wow.
had reported that, and he was
Yeah.
like, I didn't mean it literally, but that was one of the only times that I've seen Facebook actually removed the post.
Yeah.
But they didn't block him, but they removed the post, and they like, I guess, sent him a stern warning or
Probably
whatever.
did. Guaranteed
And now
they
I'm
did.
sure he's on some list, but he's like, obviously I didn't mean that seriously. I'm not going to shoot people. Like, well, then
You
you
shouldn't
can't
put
fucking
that.
say it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't put it.
But that's not a violation of his free speech. It's never been okay to threaten to shoot somebody. Like, that's always been illegal.
Well, granted, on Facebook, all those things and hate speech and stuff like that
Right.
weren't really defined in their terms
Right.
of use and agreement
Right.
until the last year or so.
Well, yeah, it's probably come up a lot more in the last
All
year.
that-
'cause
all
people have
that
gotten
stuff-
so much more volatile.
Oh
in the
yeah,
last
no, it's gotten like gasoline fumes volatile
year. yeah.
in this country. It's gotten absolutely insane. To where
I think when posting a post that you should think of more so how it's being perceived, what you're posting, rather than what you mean. Because like you were saying a while ago, like, you know, the guy like, oh, I didn't literally mean that. You know, it's like, well,
Like,
that's,
well, you literally said, I'm going to come shoot
Yeah,
everybody that's
this
in
is
this radius
how-
or whatever. Like,
you know,
yeah,
and you got to kind of
he was
think
like, well,
on
I
the
said
sense
that
of
I
other-
could, not that I would. And it's like, well, no, dude.
Right. If that's what you
Yeah.
originally meant, it did not come across that
Right.
way.
yeah. It was apparently enough for one of the people sitting there watching live feeds to say, "Yeah." Okay.
Well, I think it was somebody in the actual who lived in that New Hampshire radius.
Oh wow.
Who
okay.
was like, I'm here, I'm going to report this. Because then he was like, oh, somebody reported me to Facebook. And I was like, I would have, but I'm in Texas. Didn't
Yeah.
affect me personally.
Duh, dude.
Yeah, I didn't really think much of it.
I was just like, wow, your friend's a dick, Adam.
Friend's a douche.
Well, and you know, as these privacy concerns grow, I mean, one of the things that I saw this last week was that teachers are not fully all about social media, and I wouldn't necessarily say that personally, but for their students.
Yeah.
And also that there was a huge, I guess, opinion poll that just came out saying that like teachers disagree with touch surfaces and computers more than anybody in the
They
classroom.
disagree?
Yeah.
Disagree? Huh.
Yeah. Whereas parents see touch screens and stuff like that as a great, awesome thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Teachers don't.
Huh.
Oh, why?
Interesting.
And I found it interesting
Yeah,
as well,
I find it
Julie.
interesting.
I wonder if
but
it's a socioeconomic thing because not everybody has access to it.
exactly. That was the first thing that I said. I was like, number one, think about it. Think about like the way that the strata and the pecking order
Right. It
between
just bridges
late
makes that
elementary
divide that much
and
bigger.
high school works. You know, and it's like I remember maybe having some guest stuff here and there. I think I may have had a Thermocolor shirt at one point.
Those were dope.
Those were dope. I wish I still had my Thermocolor.
Liam used to have one.
But you know, I didn't have a lot of name brand stuff when I was in junior high and high
Yeah,
school.
me either.
A, I grew
We
way
had
too damn
uniforms.
fast. I grew way too damn fast to be able to wear it to begin with. Like there was no way we could like substantiate a $60 shirt when I was going to outgrow it in 3
Right.
months.
Oh, I hear
You
you.
know.
I have rustler pants, dude.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, so it was definitely one of those. I had some stuff, but I definitely didn't have things that friends of mine that were better off had, and I definitely had things that people that were not as well off as my family had, or didn't have, rather. And I think that's a big part of it, like you said, Julie, the socioeconomic and the pecking order that it
because
comes
some
down
schools
to.
aren't going to be able to get the funding for it.
Sure.
Yeah. Like not every school has an iMac program where
Right.
you're gonna get a iPad.
Yeah,
Or something
Liam's,
like that
they
for
get
school.
I can't remember. They get a laptop, though, all of the kids.
Do they get that? Okay.
Mhm.
See, where I work
Yeah.
at, they get that too.
Yeah.
At Westlake, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
right.
new this year, but Liam lost his charger.
Oh, God.
Hilarious.
I know. Color me not at all surprised. And I haven't looked at it to order a new one on Amazon. He's like, they'll just bill you at the end of the year. I'm like, I know it's going to be cheaper for me to just buy
Let
a
me just
charger.
buy one.
Plus, then you can fucking use it.
Yeah.
He's lost it for 2 months now.
So like this laptop, right? Like it basically is their books, right? Their school
Yeah,
books.
basically, and it's really cool.
That's exactly what they've been
because
telling me.
Last semester they didn't have it, and so they're supposed to do their homework now
Right.
on it. But before they were supposed to do it on their computer and
Right.
then upload it to this other thing, and
Right.
then the teacher would get it.
Right.
And I would watch him spend 45 minutes,
Right.
and the program wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
eventually he would upload it, but the teacher never got it. So he was getting zeros on stuff that he would then have to print out and show him, I did it. It just
Right.
wouldn't work. We have Google Fiber.
Right.
We have a brand new computer.
Right.
This is not the norm for kids.
Sure.
So then the
Yeah.
school was like, all right, all of these people, Bowie is a pretty wealthy school, but it has a varied demographic. I mean,
Right.
they were expecting every of the 3,400 kids to have
Right.
access to computers. It's not realistic.
I've
No.
talked to some of the Westlake
No.
high school kids, and with this same type of setup, they have that laptop as all their books or whatever.
Yeah, it's much easier.
And it's they're starting to tell me, which they're very smart kids. It's to me, I see kind of like a security privacy breach in a way, because you bring that place or the laptop home, right? And it's connecting to your devices. All of a sudden, they're telling me of instances where things are popping up and the teachers are able to see things that were on other devices that
Sure.
were in your own house.
Yeah,
Sure.
Liam's French teacher was getting
Yeah.
on his class for accessing Netflix and stuff, but they
Right.
weren't actually doing
Right.
it from that computer.
Right.
But she was getting on them, and so she has the power too, which is
Yeah.
crazy
Right.
to check any time of day and see what the kids are doing. And
Exactly.
she's the
Yeah.
only one who's been using that power.
Right.
To my knowledge, but she was open about it. She's
Right.
like, I'm gonna check, and if you're not doing whatever or whenever, then this is gonna be a problem.
Ooh.
And
See, I
he's
haven't
like,
heard it like that.
Yeah.
if I'm at my house
Right.
and I'm using my iPad, which happens to be connected to the same Wi-Fi as my computer,
Right.
to watch Netflix, you don't get to know that. You don't get to complain about
now
that.
she's a digital warden, even on your own spare
Right, and
time.
then she's like, so you didn't do your homework, but you spent 8 hours on Netflix last night.
Well, and that was one of the things that was actually brought up to Zuckerberg today was the
Right.
fact of, sure, you cancel your account, it's deleted from Facebook, stuff like that.
is it really gone?
Is it really gone? And he's like, yes, it's gone from our servers. If somebody has shared that, if one of your friends has shared that outside of Facebook,
Right, no.
It may still
it's Still gonna
exist.
be there.
I don't believe anything digitized at all, even if it's one time, that it's been, even if you delete that one, it's totally ever gone.
it isn't.
No, I
Number
mean,
one.
the
Yeah.
preschool
It's
that I
not
had,
necessarily.
That's
I
why I
could
called
still
Zuckerberg.
find stuff from that preschool
Yeah.
all over the place, and I really tried to do due diligence and delete everything after that. But I can still Google it and find a lot of stuff,
Right.
even though technically none of it exists anymore.
for almost a decade now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Seriously,
It's like
since
a
almost-
2011.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah, it's
forever
been like
footprint.
7-8 years
Yeah.
that I know of.
It's
Yeah.
a print that's forever there
Yep.
in a way, Might not be exactly the original, but it's
It's
still
nice
there.
though, and I'm like, oh, look at me, all 26 years old, full of promise.
Right.
I realized that I was about to get punched in the nuts so hard.
Right?
Bam!
Hey, reality.
Yeah.
Reality sucks.
Sorry, I came back strong.
That's right. You
High
came
school
back
sucks.
fighting. That's right.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Well, and I think that's not even necessarily what Zuckerberg did today. I don't think he even came out fighting. He just came out being as honest as he possibly could.
Well, see, here's
with the
one
knowledge
point
that he has.
You're absolutely right. But the one thing I wanted to point out during that whole thing that I only saw bits and pieces of compared to you watched the whole thing. But do you remember the senator of Missouri when he asked him, "Do you know the agreement that you signed with Cambridge?" And he brought out those boards and they held up, and basically was written in the agreement that they were able to do what they did with that information and stuff. And so basically Facebook, just like we do, go on and just click yes, you know, just because, you know what I mean? He was guilty of the same shit.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what he agreed to, and it was in the written agreement.
Yeah.
It's like Richard with so there's this link that I put up on my personal page, but I'll put it up on the Dudes and Beer page. But you can check and see if your information was harvested during this whole Cambridge Analytica thing. And mine came up that personally I didn't do anything that would make it harvested, but one of my friends did. So several other friends took it, and we kind of narrowed down like the time frame and, you know, like a vague, like, okay, you're friends with this person, but you're not friends with this person. So it turns out that our very own Richard Adams of Breach TV, who's a tech guy, he clicked the link. So like, just like Facebook, and they click the user agreements, like, people click shit. They don't read things.
Exactly.
Like, you can be the smartest tech person in the world, and stuff is going to get by you.
It still sneaks past you.
Right.
That's just it.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly
I think if anything they're going to learn from this is dealing with that somehow in some way, you know?
Well, and like I said, it's not even necessarily a breach, it's a leak.
Right.
There was no data breach with nobody hacked Cambridge Analytica,
credit card number,
stuff like
people
that.
Have one of your social security number. They're not going to like create passports. Like they just know like where you like to eat and if you're generally bipartisan or not. Like,
Generally,
I'm not, by the way.
No, she is not. Either general or bipartisan.
I am extra and partisan.
That's right. And you know, just kind of going out on that note, guys. Thinking about number one, paid Facebook. Let's go around the table real quick. Julie, would you pay for an ad-free Facebook?
No, I love the ads.
Okay.
Because you can just skip them.
Sure.
Yeah, true that. You know, as for me, like, I've gone this long as the way it is, and I'd probably just stick with it. I'm with Julie. They're not a big deal. Hell, it might get annoying at that one moment when I'm trying to do something, but you can easily get by,
just
you know.
Keep scrolling.
So, I mean,
if it was a pop-up ad, though, that you had to watch, I would pay.
Yeah.
To not have that.
Oh, don't give them no ideas.
Well, how far away are we from it being the awesomeness of Photo Bucket that is now pay for Photo Bucket or have a bunch of ads?
Exactly, kind of like Photo Bucket. I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Photo Bucket was a great, beautiful idea, and it was fantastic.
At that point, I'd pay.
I wouldn't for Facebook. I wouldn't for Photo Bucket.
Dude, Photo Bucket's fucking annoying when you get on there. And,
that's because there are so many other services like Photo Bucket, though.
Right.
And that's what we were getting into earlier, is that there is no other service like Facebook. There is really nothing that's like Facebook. There's nothing.
At least for our generation, Liam thinks that it's so stupid and thinks that everybody should be on Snapchat.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yep. It's like only old people are on Facebook. Like, well, cool.
Yeah. We also don't put Tide Pods into our diet. Liam doesn't either.
No.
Liam doesn't either. And that's an overgeneralization on my part.
I don't think he has a single friend that has tried to eat Tide Pods.
That has taken the Tide Pod challenge.
Condom,
okay, good.
Or tried to eat cinnamon.
Or snorting long plastic things.
He He's got common sense.
Exactly. And that's just it.
The long plastic.
Unlike the people who had to take the classes that I posted on Facebook today, where, They're like learning to cook bacon and
Oh,
learning
I
basic
am
life
kind of
skills.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, the basic life
It
skills,
is.
dude. Boiling eggs, change a tire.
You know, whenever you hear that like
Wash your
68% of people can't sew a button.
I mean, I can sew. It's not going to look good.
Me too.
That's-
Like, yeah, I'm the same
but
way. I'm not
to
good
not,
at
even,
all.
to not even know where to start.
I mean, that you just
To-
there's
Oh, I can do that.
holes.
Like
Yeah.
You
I
just
think
go in
I think the
hole.
stat was
Yeah.
like I think the stat was like also in the 60s of teenagers
Right.
that know how to change a tire.
Stuff like this
I
is
don't know how to
like
change it.
they're losing critical thinking.
See?
You know, too.
I know how to call.
Well, it's yeah.
It's like there's critical thinking involved too. You know, it's like
I
you
think
know.
if gun to my head, I could figure out. There's lug things. You got the jack thing.
Exactly,
You got
that's
the
what I'm
thing
saying,
with
you know,
the
like-
tire. Like I feel like
It's-
I could figure it out.
Yeah.
Like
It's a good skill to
pretty
have.
common sense. Like
It's-
there's a thing on the bottom of my car. I know that
Sure.
you put the jack and it goes up because
Mm.
it's like the metal thing. Like I think I could do it. I've just never
It's
done
like
it
the
before.
adult
You've never
conversion.
actually had the need to
Because
do
I
it.
just call people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make
Yeah,
sure
that's
it's,
why you have good insurance.
I put air in somebody's
make
tires
sure it's
last
the
week. though.
frame of the
That's
car.
nice.
Mhm.
With the
Nice.
jacket. With the jacket.
Well, and you know,
Right. There's a spot on my car that's
Yeah.
like for a tire jack, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, no,
That's
it-
pretty easy.
It now says it there. It
Yeah.
does. It's got two little dimples
Yeah.
that make that spot
yeah,
stand
it's
out.
pretty.
It's that big
fabulous.
frame.
I've seen other people do it on
And
my car.
Yeah. Oh, damn, I put it on the axle.
oh shit. Well, you know, and as we move forward as a society, as we move forward as humanity, we really do have to take these things into consideration. We do have to, of course, make sure that people's personal data is their personal data. And number one, people understand what their personal data is.
Right.
Right.
I mean, not many people know about biometrics. Not many people know about the fact. I mean, we just posted all of 3 weeks ago for the first time. They lifted a fingerprint off of a photograph.
Yeah, that's
And-
crazy.
And that isn't like somebody held a photograph and they pulled the fingerprint off of it.
No.
Oh, no.
It's like zoom, zoom,
Oh,
zoom. Fingerprint.
okay.
There was an image of an object.
I'm glad you clarified that.
And they went into the image and pulled
I mean, look, right
fingerprints
there.
out of the
You
image.
could get one.
Yeah, but it was non-visible fingerprints. Like
amazing.
they use technology
Yeah.
to go into that picture,
Time to
into
start
the
wearing
object,
gloves.
and find fingerprints.
It's like some freaking electron microscope, like amped up.
You know, that's the algorithms that we're dealing with. That's the
Kind of
science
awesome.
that we're dealing with. So when biometric data can be gathered
Right.
from a picture, now you're talking about iris scans possibly being able to be done from somebody's selfie. Stuff like that.
No, violation
Um,
of privacy. Sorry, brother. You get more than just that.
Well, the problem is most of the time
You click
you
through the
are
user
opting
agreement.
in.
You're all right with it.
I
You
know,
are
right?
the
If you're
one.
not, then you got to read it.
That's it.
Yeah.
You opted in somewhere if you have the app installed.
Yeah.
If you get notifications from it, you opted in.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, folks. So remember that.
I don't like biometrics.
Go through and digitally scrub yourselves. Go through and take a good crying game digital shower.
And read what you signed. It's actually super interesting.
It is, and like they said, you know, sure, it's 2 pages, but there are like 20 links per page,
Yeah, it's so
and that
long.
link goes to like another 10 pages. That I have like 20 links per page, and when you print it all out, it's literally like 4 fingers thick. Like
Damn.
it's crazy
But if you
Four
stuff.
ever have
pages.
insomnia, it is a good read.
It is some.
You read it and you're like, I can't believe I agreed to all that. And then the next day
Yeah.
they're like, do you agree for something else? And you're like, why not?
Well, sure.
I've seen how bad
I
it
got
is.
nothing to do for the next 4 minutes. I'll agree.
Damn.
And even the concept of digital addiction, things like that were brought up in today's testimony. There were so many things covered, and like I said earlier, like we were saying earlier, it's the fact of right now they're just on a fishing expedition.
Right.
They're trying to see how far the rabbit hole can go,
Mhm.
Right.
which way tunnels can go, and if anything that he said through further research may be negated
Yeah,
and
they'll
at
have
that
their
point
big
they
gotcha
can,
moment.
they can have the big gotcha.
I think Facebook is like the tip of the iceberg because like I don't know. I think more so like the biometric thing is probably more so.
Well, they're probably gonna be linked
intrusive,
soon.
and people are not even catching on yet. Like what was the one with the Snapchat? Stuff like that, face recognition.
Yeah.
Where it's mapping stuff over your face live.
Right.
No.
Stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
Daddy don't play that, bro.
Like
I don't play with that action.
No, I don't either. I totally don't. I've never
No.
downloaded
I don't have
that.
Snap. I have downloaded it, but I've deleted it. Like,
Nah.
I mean, I'm sure it's still there, but there's nothing.
Yeah, we're talking
compromising. I
about
don't
stuff
care.
that we voluntarily.
Like, look, I'm a bunny.
I don't need fox ears. Number one.
Yeah.
I know what
fox ears.
I know
Oh
what
my
the
god!
fox
Imagine
says.
Albus is a little deer.
Little deer.
We're already talking about scrubbing all instances of him off of social media.
He's so cute, though. I have a lot of pictures.
And we
of him on my
already
phone.
make the great conscious effort to not include his name in social media.
Right.
Either in mention
I did
or...
say that it was Amy's baby, though.
You
I did not say what
You
his
did.
name was, but
we didn't register his name with Facebook
Right.
as like,
Good,
child.
yeah, he's so
Right.
cute. That picture was
He is.
adorable, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if they would already know, in one way or another.
Well, and that's where
That's
we
the
were
scary part
talking
of
with
the world we live in.
That's where we were talking with Arshawn McCleskey about digital age of consent, things like that. I'd love to talk with him as well as JL about that. I'd like to thank JL Carpenter of the JL Carpenter Law Firm for coming on this evening, for being our legal. Oh my God!
Liaison?
Yeah.
Did you have a brain
correspondent?
Did you fart in your brain?
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much rings it for the end of episode 157 of the Dudes and Beer podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Julie, for coming back. Steven, for being here always. And until next time, everybody.
Like a bad wart.
Check us out on the HC Universal Network. Check us out on Breach TV. Check us out now on Spotify. And remember, if you can't be good,
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dudes and Beer podcast. To listen to our audio streams or chat with us live, download the official Dudes and Beer app for Android and iDevices, available on Google Play and iTunes markets. For more episodes, content, and information, visit us online at dudesandbeer.com. You can also find our episodes on Breach.tv, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more about our sponsors and other podcasts on this network, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.